we talked about the beginning of the history of the church, and my mind went back to this time because I do believe, and I know friendship was in God's eyes years and years before he revealed it to anybody that there would be a church in Prior Lake. And that's very special to me because he prepared us. He brought us together with friends together, and it was so special that at the right time that we were ready, his plan was revealed.
Well, I think it's interesting to think back how if you are a Christian, how God leads, and you don't even know he's doing it, and then years later, like now, you can look back and see it was God all the time that brought us out to Prior Lake, because we had no interest in didn't even think about starting a new church. That was not on our. We moved out here like I said a little bit ago, to because Carrie wanted her horse out here.
Right.
Looking for 10 and we wound up with 136.
Yeah, we were looking for 10 acres and we got 136.
Thing. Berean, as far as pushing us or not, we didn't get a lot of push from them. I don't know. Bill Horn was our pastor at that time, and he was instrumental in pushing it along, but not as far as a congregation thinking they're going to do it, you know.
Well, I think it was, really Dick, because you guys weren't thinking about starting a church,
No.
and I think it was Dick Patterson that actually was the one that contacted you and wanted you to start a church on this side of the river.
Right.
And then it ended up that nobody really from that was going to Bloomington Baptist actually really started the church.
No.
So then that's when you called us to see if we wanted to start coming.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to Berean, and we were happy with Berean. But our kids were, at the age we just thought, yeah, that might be kind of exciting.
Yeah.
So then we started coming, and then Krause just came from the old block, and Jill Duffy, she was a morning girl, and the mornings were all at Berean too. So it ended up being more people from Berean actually that were the first, and besides you guys.
I gave to Sherry too. Yeah, weren't they on there?
They've been, Croswitz, yeah.
Were they from Berean?
No,
They were
they're
going
from
there.
Berean, yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. Well, Arnie and Shirley, because they didn't really go that much, Arnie and Shirley,
No.
but they were from your.
They supported us, but they didn't really
Yeah.
come much.
Yep.
I remember we'd only been in Prior Lake for a couple weeks, and so to say that we were surprised to get a call and ask if we'd want to be pastors, and here he was an usher in church. I was in the choir in the back row, and we were both kind of quiet and shy and whatever. And they call and ask you to do a church, and I sometimes look back and I wonder why we said yes. I mean, it wasn't our personality or anything to be doing something like.
Yeah.
Although we were involved in a lot of things, we still. That was just never. I shared with my history team that I had never even prayed out loud, and they could ask you to do a church, and I always thought that was pretty remarkable. But of course,
In my mind, there was never any doubt.
No.
Once I was told what they wanted to do here, that we wanted to be part of it.
One of the things that kind of pushed us, the kids were getting at Berean, we're not getting involved in the young people. And Carrie and them, they didn't really want to go to the Wednesday night or whatever.
mm-hmm.
So we thought, well, this might be an opportunity for them. And it was. But I mean, we didn't know it at the time, but it was a move that we made, which was a blessing.
Yeah.
And our girls were so glad your girls were coming because they were all friends from Savage.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
led the singing, they led the
Right.
everything. They run the church.
yeah. Karen played the accordion. That
Oh,
was our
no.
music. We didn't really have anybody that was that. Karen played that was our. Sometimes Corinne, when she was 7th, 8th grade, she was up leading the singing,
Yeah.
and of course she's still very involved in the church.
Yep.
Dick Patterson and his wife did a great job on Wednesdays when we were starting Wednesday night services or together, and the kids were downstairs, and your kids and our kids would work with the younger ones downstairs, and the adults would be upstairs, and Dick Patterson and his wife were just great. She played an electric accordion that gave a lot of music in, and she knew about every song that we'd ever want to have there, and we had a great time together.
When you say upstairs and downstairs, where are you?
At our house in
In
Prior
our
Lake.
house, yes.
It was like a split entry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I said, it was bigger because we got it for all the foster kids. And so it was perfect for a church at the same time, really. But I can remember when Shepleys came, they had their baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we tried to get rid of them too right away.
We were so excited that morning when they came. Shepleys, they were 2 teachers from New Prague, and they had this little baby, Corey. And we were in just one room at Scott Rice in the basement, and there was one little bathroom off that same big room. And so when we had classes, we would just sit along the walls, and then each person that had we only had a few kids, and then we'd have our little lesson, and then we had a divider for the babies. We had a table, and Corey was in an infant seat, and he was sitting on that table, and then our backdrop that was supposed to divide us, that fell over on him. So we thought, we kind of thought they'll never come back. But they were there they were there almost forever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh, and then somebody came from New Prague all the way to Prior Lake.
Yeah.
That was so neat.
And then L. Robinson's, I can't remember exactly how
They're from Wooddale.
Yeah.
But they started after we got into school.
Well,
Yeah, I think so.
I'm trying to remember for sure. I kind of thought it was at the first time in was at the telephone building, but I
can't remember them there.
I'm not directly sure, but
What school?
But-
What's the name of the school?
Westwood Elementary.
Westwood Elementary.
But L. Robinson was really the one that found the property.
Yes.
He was a pilot. He was checking out different areas here, and he went into the telephone building. No, not the telephone building. The real estate building.
Right.
And then Will's property was going to be coming up for sale because he knew he wasn't going to make it. He had cancer, and he wanted to get rid of his property before he was passed on. And so that's how Al Robinson found the piece where our church is.
Who's Will?
That's
He
the
owned
owner
the
of the property on the corner where the fence is, right now where the water tank was, and that piece of property right there. What happened? We had started out looking all over. We had property that people were bringing out, and we had a 20-acre piece we were looking at, and that was, I think, $50,000 they wanted for it.
yeah, it was.
And so that was when Al really got involved in it, and he just was in town one day and asked us guys if they knew of a place, and that's how Will's property came up. No, it just came off a listing, so it wasn't listed. It was 20 acres, and the property was, he wanted to clear title for his wife before he passed away, so the wife didn't have to fight with it. But in the meantime of that, when we started getting permits, we were landlocked. We could not get into the property. So because on the north side, that was a dead end. Now it's a cul-de-sac or a road there. It's supposed to be. But the other one was Maple Grove, or Maple Drive. So we petitioned to come in on Maple Drive, and we got shot down, big time.
That's that row of houses right there.
And so we didn't have no way to get into the property, so we were checking around. Doyle and I, and then we looked, and there's an entrance, farm tap field driveway that came in off from, I can't think of the road there. Fairlawn. That's where the driveway is. But the reason it's there, that was a farm road. And they couldn't take that away from us because, and we were too close to the intersection for the stop sign for backup. So they weren't going to let us do anything, but they couldn't do anything because it was a farm road. And so going into the permit situation with it, we went to Spring Lake. They shot us down a couple of times. And then finally, Doyle, we were over there one night, and the one guy on the board says, he says, all you got to do is take this off the tax rolls. This piece of property, we won't get any taxes for it. So he was kind of against it. So, but then Dave Johnson, he was excavating, he was doing all our sewer work and all that. So we walked through that. That's how the road turned out where it's at. We kept the grade going through the woods, and he built the road.
But it
So
was
that's
all,
why that's why that approach. We kind of thought of the church. What is it? The college, not Bethel, but the other one. I can't.
Northwestern?
I meant what?
Crown?
No, Midwest, Western.
Northwestern.
Northwestern's got a driveway like that with the trees kind, and that's what we kind of thought. But that would be kind of neat. And that's how it wound up.
We had to saw all the trees down.
yeah, the road was full of trees. We had,
There was no road in there. It was just the farm tap, our farm entrance.
yeah,
And,
we had to cut all the trees down.
And
I
we-
remember Karen and I
I love
were
it.
out on that road.
You know, that's when we were starting to build at that time. But we had been at what, Eastwood or Westwood
Westwood.
for how
Westwood.
long? I don't know.
I don't know how long either.
We were moving stuff in and out of there all the time. You know,
New people kept coming. We had to set up all the chairs.
Randy
set up
Williams and
everything.
them started. Williams started then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Debbie and Randy.
It was amazing how the church just kept growing no matter where we were. People would come and join us.
You were at Westwood for a while?
Mhm.
We had to move everything in and out, carry all the.
Put all signs up on the road.
Yep, I remember.
And then, not Pat, but mine goes like now. The couple that had did this water damage for. Pat O'Rourke.
Oh, Pat. Okay.
And he
Yeah.
was janitor.
Pat and
there.
Joan.
Pat was the janitor. He did all the cleanup, and hardly ever seen him around. But they come all the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pat and Joan.
Yeah,
But
he
that's
was,
where
He was a
that
janitor at Westwood.
he was a janitor at Westwood.
yeah, and
when
he
we-
was that for years. Even not that many years ago, he was. Is he still doing it?
No, he's
I don't
retired.
think so.
now.
I think he's retired probably
Yeah.
now.
But that was pretty much would have been instrumental in their life too, really.
He was the greeter. He was always at the door greeting, especially at Westwood. I remember. Yeah,
Right.
He was always there greeting everybody that came in. You remember that?
Yep. He was a good usher.
I've thought a lot of times how the Lord put each of us together as being leaders in the church. And I don't know if I'll get everyone right, but I know Cecil was on the trustee board because he's a builder and knows a lot about that. And Merv Shepley was a teacher, so it was Christian education. And Dave Krauserd was evangelism board. And I was given the ministry board because I was an usher. I did everything.
Well, you were elected.
Yeah. So the Lord picked each of us, and Al Robinson was
Chairman.
our chairman, and he was the perfect person to come to our church to be able to help us get in the right direction. Because I know he came from Wooddale Church, and I'm not sure, he was part of the board there as a deacon, and he brought their constitution to Friendship Church. And something I've been thinking about, the word friendship, why friendship was picked for our church. And it's all because of what we've been talking about. We were all friends. And it was friendship that brought us together.
When did we vote on that though? Did we ever?
That was,
And it used to be Friendship Baptist
it
Church.
was
Yeah, it was.
Friendship Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Well, the conference helped us get started.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, they were good help.
We didn't have a big board election when we got,
When
what
they-
board do you run for?
Yeah.
They were thinking about having a choir at one time, and then they had some man. His name was it Larson? Carlson? Who was that man that
Carlson.
came and played the piano for us?
Carlson.
Carlson.
Um,
And then they were interviewing, or they were kind of thinking they should have a choir. And then he said, "I don't think we're ready for that yet."
We didn't have anybody who could sing.
but it was kind of neat because even people that maybe had never sang in front of church and stuff, they would come. You
Yeah.
know, we'd start up trios or just different things.
And Vicky
Larson, Vicky Larson,
Vicky Larson, yeah, and she ended up being for a while a piano player.
right? She was
Yeah.
the first. And I just was thinking this today about it, how God provided such talented people. If we needed when we needed a great Gloria, what was her name? We had some
Yeah.
fabulous piano players. I mean, they were,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, like this, and music directors, and just was youth pastors
Al
even.
Larson too was a music.
Yeah.
He, in the music for a while there. He was very good.
Yeah,
Alan, sure.
and just
sure.
Mark Gold came in eventually on as youth, and
Like
We
that
probably had 50 at
Westwood
Westwood.
people. Yeah,
People.
probably about it. I
Yeah,
would
but
say
that
about
could have
50.
been,
I remember the first service in the telephone building, and I think I counted somewhere between 30 and 40 people at that service. But that was
That's
our
including
first
kids.
service. We had all our parents and everyone
Yeah.
came that we could think of
friends.
to come to that service, because that was pretty special to have our first service.
Very quickly though we built. I think
Yeah,
unusually quickly.
yeah.
It's
Within a year?
Yeah, we put the chapel on, our company. We put that on in narthex and the bathrooms and the kitchen was the first phase. And I think our contract was $75,000.
Yeah.
That's when we put the cross up and the bell tower.
Mhm.
We were trying to copy that. We kind of put an end cove in the side of it for someday that we'd have a bell or, musical chimes and that. That never come to pass.
Not too late.
True.
But that's kind of what that side of the crosses or what do you want to call it? The where the cross is, that's where that was kind of designed to do.
And after Doyle came, the church I thought grew very quickly. Everybody liked him. He was just
Doyle wasn't at
he remembered
Westwood, was
everybody's name.
He wasn't at Westwood.
No, I said when we built
Yeah,
the
I know,
chapel.
but I mean that's when Doyle came.
Yeah.
I think we were one summer at the school,
Okay.
and then from then we've already started the next spring. I think that's what it was.
I can remember at Scott Rice, I put all the signs out and stuff on the streets in Prior Lake, and I remember it was terrible. It was snowy and cold and icy, and it was quite a job. Well, I remember teaching Sunday school at Westwood. Not that I did it often, but I remember the time or two that I did. And we had Sunday school classes at Westwood because there was room there for us to do it.
We started everything right away. We weren't, if the churches we came from did it, we did it. That was just,
Dave and Sherry Krauser ran the young people for quite
Yeah.
a while.
Yep.
They were involved in that. But then it started just growing and people coming in and things changed.
I think, I look back on my life and I think God has just directed. He's taken care of me all along. And sometimes still I wonder, I worry about things, but I look back and he's taken care of me this long. I'm sure,
Yeah.
because I can't say we've prayed about everything that we've talked about.
No, I mean, you can see hindsight's better than 2020 because the situations we were in, they worked out, but sometimes there was problems or things that we had to work through. We were financially pushed here because the land bank wanted certain things for the property, and could have been lost the place if we had to do some things, and then we started a company and another one, and that helped get us on the ground, and then
But that's more personal than
personally, yeah, but that happened. But there were some things in there that were rough roads that could have went either way. I think that's in anybody's life that you get into that. And so, yeah, sitting down and actually praying over every little thing that we did. No, I think the Lord just behind the scene pushed you.
We could feel God's hand at all different phases of what we did. And I really don't remember. Either he takes those memories away from me, but I don't remember rough times that we had. Everything was, I see that was very, very smooth.
I don't remember rough times either.
No,
For
I-
years.
Well, you're
I
talking more
don't-
like land
Yeah.
things,
Yeah,
stuff like
I'm
that.
talking personal,
Yeah.
not as
we,
far as the
we
church.
all had a togetherness that it was very, very special.
Yeah.
And I think it's because many of us knew each other for many years beforehand. And that helped. And when new churches start up, there's bound to be some difficulties, but we knew each other too well to be able to get into too big of difficulties.
I think we all really wanted. I mean, I guess I didn't think about that either. But we all did what we felt that we were capable of doing. It was cleaning. We never had people to begin with. If we wanted the church clean, we cleaned the church. If we wanted something cooked, we did it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think each one contributed to what they were capable of doing, and that's how it went.
Yep.
If you could do something, you did it. And I thought we always had a good time.
We didn't have board approval.
Well,
But I do remember,
You write that down.
I do remember the Lord stretched us beyond what we thought our capabilities could do.
yeah.
One instance is I remember being in a quartet with Cecil. Who else was in that?
Robinson. Who was the other one?
Merv.
Merv Sheffley, was it?
We were in a quartet.
The Blackwood
together.
brothers.
Yeah.
No, Black Eye brothers.
Black-eyed brothers. And we did a lot of things that normally we would never even think about doing.
Yeah, that reminds me of something when we built the chapel there, the first phase. Then we were supposed to pick out chairs, chairs and countertops and stuff. And so we picked out our bright orange chairs. I don't know if you were there yet when we had the bright orange chairs and the bright orange countertops. And we all thought that was great.
Yes.
But boy, years later, I tell you.
And our hymnal was my mom and dad were lay pastors, and so my mom had put together a book of all the older songs, and choruses that we sang when we were in Sunday school. And so we ran those off, and that was our songbook all the time. Then until we got hymnals, which
We never used.
I wish I could. I need to find one though. I hope somebody can show us a hymnal. But so that we did sing all the old songs, and we loved to sing. Everybody sang a lot. We used to have game nights, a lot of potluck suppers.
Yeah.
Like you said, we'd have parties in the home because we were small enough you could do that, when you're 20 adults or whatever. And I remember one of the games, you you do numbers, and one you might get a fork, or you might get a spoon, or you might get your glass, or maybe no plate, but you got lasagna. And it was just really, we had so much fun. Debbie was good at that too. She always could.
And I remember one
think up.
time, that's when we were in the first the chapel, and then we decided to have a sit down. What is it called now? When you have pass out your food in, what's that called?
Yeah. We went from house to house, you mean?
No, we had this party, and Joanne Weber was the one that we all brought our best dishes, our china dishes, and then each table had their own dishes, each table. And then, but I think Joanne Weber was in charge of that dinner that night. It was, what do they call that?
Progressive?
No.
We did do that though.
Yeah, it was a family style. So everything came in bowls, but then she was in charge of keeping track of everybody's dishes, So it really didn't work out really well. But it was nice for all of us that weren't part of the kitchen that night.
But we all loved cooking together. Oh, and then finally the women started coming to me and saying, we need to have a women's group. This is, we're doing parties with all the guys, but we like to have some women type things. And we talked to some of the girls, and we all got started. And we had our first meeting, and we had a lot of people come. And Sharon Robinson, Al's wife, was just a wonderful spiritual leader for that. And we call ourselves the Sunshiners, S-O-N, shine, hers, H-E-R-S. And so that went for a couple of years. And we were up to getting like to 100 people, women there. And here's all Virgie and Hazel and I and who was all there? There's more in that.
Joanne
Cooking.
Larson, Joanne and Paul Larson were involved
Right,
too with that.
right. And we'd cook all the food. We had one stove, one refrigerator, one sink, no dishwasher, and we made do.
Yeah,
And we just
did.
all washed dishes together, and it was just, we just did everything together. It was fun.
I think the big thing there is when you're working together and you communicate, you build a bond. There is people that have filled in, that come in and picked up the slack whenever,
Right.
it fit them. There's a lot of people that are doing jobs that they might have done in another church, and they come in and put them in a slot, and keeps progressing.
Remember our Easter services, sunrise services at Cleary Lake?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had
Oh, we'd meet
Sunday
at
morning,
literally
and
5 o'clock or whatever. And
Sometimes it was cold.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was cold. But we did that for a couple of years. And we just did so many. We'd go from house to house and do different things.
Doyle was instrumental in a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff, and he wasn't afraid to try something different or do. I don't. Maybe he did it other places. I don't know. But like the sunrise service and stuff like that, Sunday morning, Easter Sunday, And
Well, that was one thing that was great about Doyle, though. If you had an idea, you just had to go talk to him. And he would say, well, if you feel led by the Lord and you can be in charge, go for it. So we started Awana.
Yep. We
And
did
we
that.
started King's Kids. A
And
lot
then-
of different programs got started.
then it got down to the next phase of the building. Jim and what's her last name?
Kerrs were there. Darlene.
What's her name though?
Darlene.
Darlene. Yeah.
Darlene. We were going to build a sanctuary, and she was obstinate about that. But she says we need to build a gym for activities all the time. And when you look back at it, our church is used all the time. I don't think you would have thought that years ago, but you'd had a sanctuary that you use one day a week. We use it 7 days a week. And now that we've remodeled it, that's just progressing along too. But I mean, back then it was a big step when we went to that,
Right.
because we were just concrete walls and floors there for a long time, waiting, because we built the structure out. And we put the beams and all that stuff up in there. But Doyle was instrumental. He got our own concrete work going. He had all the women out there tying re-rods and putting in the footings and putting in the walls, and we pumped the concrete in the walls. We did it all. Everybody. There was a whole group there.
You
People
shingled.
would show up and come. People that don't come to church would come there and help. there's a family that lived right across the road from Tim, or his son-in-law, that we met him a lot of times, and he was say he'd come over there and work when he put shingles on when he sighted the outside and work a Saturday, and I don't know how he got that all done.
Well, Doyle was, they'd say people, if people would drive up at the church there, and Doyle would come out with his apron on and his cut off shorts, you know, and these were strangers that would drive up. And then he'd come out and meet them. Of course, they didn't have a clue that he was the pastor.
We haven't talked much about Doyle, but he was a perfect person for the Lord gave us at the time when the church started, because he knew buildings and how to build things, and he was instrumental in putting together the designs and stuff. Him and Cecil worked together very closely on getting the design for the church, and I think we even had an architect from, I don't remember where he was
Somebody
from,
drew that, yeah.
but he had plans and everything for us for 20, 30 years for that property, and we didn't follow him too good as far as, but Doyle was instrumental in how that church got put up so quickly.
Yeah, Doyle was very good. Preaching and everything.
He was a great teacher.
Yeah, he was.
We really grew in the Lord with being with him, because we knew we'd always been saved, and God was he was our, but he wasn't our. I totally lost track of what I was saying, but anyway, we grew in the Lord.
No, he was a very good teacher.
Doyle,
I thought
Amazing.
I thought I had grown as much as a Christian as I could, because I'd gone to Sunday school since I was, a baby. I was already going. But I learned there was a lot more than just having him as your savior. You needed to have him more, he just is everything to you. And we learned all that through him. He'd have great classes on cults and different things like that. And he'd bring good speakers in.
And Debbie was a very good partner for Doyle.
Yes.
Debbie was very good for Doyle.
both of them were like brothers and sisters to
Yeah,
us.
they were
Very, very close. And if we had anything to be able to share with them or to be close with them, we know who we could go to.
Doyle must be about 76 now, 77.
He's my age, so I'm 75, and he might be 76.
Okay. And then Debbie would have been 66 then. Yeah. So how many years ago was that she died? Quite a few.
Yeah.
She was 42 when she died.
But she was so talented at writing children's Sunday school materials and King's Kids and stuff like that. And she's
No, they were a
good
very
singer.
good partner.
Yeah.
Those two. Yeah.
I can remember, and I think this is such a big part of it, is that we had prayer vigils. And so for 24 hours, you could sign up for when you wanted to come and pray.
Yeah,
Do you remember
I
that?
Yeah.
So we would, they'd say, please somebody pick the 1 o'clock in the morning and to, whatever. So
Yeah. So
we'd
somebody
always,
was there all that. Yeah.
that's when you go in the chapel and
Yeah.
and so we do that once a month or whatever. So prayer had to be a big part of what we were doing then too. So just, what did they put? I don't remember
I don't
putting
think it was
talkies out. I think
specific.
it's just everybody
I
prayed,
don't think so.
always just praying
I think
for
we
the
were praying
church.
for all the people that basically, well,
And people that would come in and people we knew that were sick, just
and
whatever.
praying for the people that were all part of it too. I
Yeah.
think. Whatever you want to pray for, I guess.
I think we would put together some prayer lists and stuff that
Yeah, I think
we
it was-
left on
yeah.
the altar up there, so when people come, they could pick up on them also.
Yeah.
Mark Gold came and sat in our congregation for a month, and nobody knew who he was. He
Well,
never.
we didn't know who he was
Well,
anyway. Maybe
well,
some people
most of
did,
the
but
people there, we didn't know he was a youth pastor
yeah.
until he moved in behind us, and that was. You tell me how he got to that place behind us. He was looking for a farm.
He was our
or
neighbor.
something. He wanted a place to be out in the country, and if somebody from church said, "You find a farm, we'll buy it for you." So he found the one right behind our church. He just walked across the alley to the church.
And that's 3 houses down from where we lived.
Yeah, yeah.
So how did that happen? There's no explanation to that except the Lord.
And I think that's kind of when our youth group really took off
Right.
when we got Mark Gold. Before that, we had quite a few different ones, but I think that's when it really grew. with Mark
He
Gold.
started the flagpole. We were busing kids to the high school because we didn't have room for them. We were busing hundreds of kids over there to the high school. They had flag day or prayer around the flagpole, and they'd have 150 kids over there. It's very instrumental in Conrad, our son,
Yeah.
as far as working with him.
Yeah, Conrad still talks to Mark a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
But
He
it
was
wasn't,
really good.
Conrad wouldn't be up speaking and like he's doing right now without his mentoring. And Mike, too. You know,
Mike,
that was
he was like-
another one that threw
Yeah.
bombs at the mailboxes, you know. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he was only 16 when they.
yeah.
But I mean, when you stop and think, he got in a lot of trouble with Mike did. They had boats they were taking gas out of down there in the bay, and he got in trouble there too.
But
But
Mike, I can remember it was probably one of the first times he was up speaking. It was at a parents love your parents banquet, and Mike Golay was up there talking, and he was a good talker then. He did a good job then. I don't remember what he said, but he was pretty amazing for a young guy.
Yeah.
Up there.
that group of people came up through Mark, and a lot of them we've got missionaries and everything that came out of that.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So
I
that was
think-
the
I think
Lord
Mike
putting
Golay
him in
said-
our midst when we needed it.
Yep.
You know what? We were giving to the Baptist General Conference. We were doing that, but I don't know what that was because that was on that'd be the financial part, but we didn't. That was after we were involved in it.
Karen had mentioned that we left in 85, and we were comfortable with doing that because Friendship Church in 85 was it was going
Going good.
great, and we didn't feel that we could, not that we weren't needed, but the Lord called us to go to Florida, and we didn't know why we should go to Florida, and we really didn't know till we came back here why we went to Florida. I had a job there, but it had nothing to do with church. But coming back, we found out why we went to Florida, because it put a mission heart into both of us. And about the first Sunday that we were in church, Cookie Reimers announced a mission team going to Florida, and
Haiti.
her heart
To Haiti.
to Haiti, and her heart jumped. And from that, took us into the missions field. And that's the change that we had. We don't regret moving away from, but the Lord had a plan for us. He said, "You've done a good job here. I have something else for you."
Even Cecil went down on one of the trips.
Yeah, we were the first trip down
And
there.
Conrad, yeah.
Conrad got sick of the dog.
Wasn't there 40 of us that went at that time, I think?
I don't know, it was quite a few.
There's a lot. But our role in the church changed when we came back.
How so?
Well, before we left, we were involved in everything. And when we came back, all those places were full, which was great. I mean, it was new blood, new everything. And so we more just, we were an age where we were okay to sit back and relax a little bit more and let the young people do what they're doing. And now we do a few things at the church with like food giveaway and stuff. But
I think that's what with us too. I mean, the first 10 years, then there wasn't, so we did pretty much everything that had to be done. But then a lot of people came in and took, so that was good too. Yeah.
the church still keeps growing, so.
Yeah, Corrine said they celebrated my mother's church up there 150th anniversary, and Corrine says,
It's fine.
she wants to see that with our church.
Mm-hmm. Stay with small groups and whatever. Make sure that everybody can be involved, because there's nothing worse than going to church and nobody says hi to you or whatever, because the church was never really that way. And when it gets big like this, that's easy to happen. But I think Friendship has a lot of outreaches that reach a lot of people. And it's never enough people to be coming. A lot of people to reach yet.
In 1990, Doyle started small groups. And the first small group was started in our house in New Prague.
Shocking.
And Virgie and Cecil were there. Shepleys were there. And that cell group is still, we still meet every other week. We meet here once every other month or so. We just rotate houses all over Scott County, and
No two couples live in the same town.
and that keeps us together.
Hazel Jones and Lois Dwyer and Ramona Frieden,
And Bonnie and Ken when they're here, but
Johnson.
they're back now.
Donna Cook, she's in Arizona
Donna
right
Cook.
now in the winters. But did I say Lois Dwyer? Yeah, I think I did. But it's great. And then Rosie Stepka.
Yeah, Rosie. Yeah.
So it's kind of neat. We've had 3 girls get married there. And so they got such a good Bible-based church to be into. In fact, one of the girls has started up a church in Newburgh. They helped start it, so it's kind of fun to see.
I was just thinking that if you look back and going ahead, the big key is to get people involved. And how do we do that? There's no magic number. I don't think there's a program out there that you can put in place to do it. It's just greeting people and be friendly and help if you need help. You know, I don't know. That's the only thing I can see.
There's a reason I said earlier of the name Friendship, because we are a very friendly church.
And Doyle never forgot names.
Yeah.
He would
He was
know
good.
everybody's name.
But
Yeah.
it wasn't
Yeah.
really a problem doing it. Yeah, I don't think it never was really there was a wall we ran into that we had to conquer. It isn't. It was just everyday life.
It's a joy.
I know the 4 of us at Friendship Church, starting Friendship Church, being a part of that changed our lives forever.
Yeah, we were the ones that were really blessed in being able to
Right.
be at the beginning and just do what we could do, and then see how God has led it. I mean, I had no idea what would turn out.
None of us dreamed, I don't think.
No.
Because you asked if we've ever just looked around, and I think when we all got together, why did both churches get together? Oh, they were doing construction. And I looked around and I thought, my goodness, here we are 40 years later, and look how many people are here.
At a second campus.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the other thing with Doyle. I mean, he was so into that second campus. I mean, he worked so hard to get that going. But you guys were around then, when the second campus. Yeah, he put his whole life into his ministry.
That was his gift.
The second fishing pond. That's the second fishing
And
pond.
then he went down to Prague and started another one.
Right,
Or Elko New Market.
right.
And that built pretty good size.
I remember Shakopee, thinking about Shakopee, and I know of many churches that have tried to start up in Shakopee and never lasted. Wouldn't last a year because of the evil represented in that area. And I know many, many different people that have tried to start churches. And when we hadn't been back from Florida very long, and Doyle had the vision to do Shakopee, and I never had a talk with him how I thought about starting a church in Shakopee, but if anybody could do it, Friendship could.
At the when we the first phase, when we were in the chapel, I can remember Lauren Berglund, Audrey and Lauren, an old couple. They came. I
Yeah,
think they lived in Edina.
Lutheran pastor.
Huh?
Wasn't he
Oh,
a
not
Luth-
that. No, this is
Oh, I
Lauren.
had the one.
No, Lauren
Find that
and
pastor.
Audrey. But I
Right,
can remember him saying that they had been praying for years for a church like ours to be put up in Prior Lake, because there was no church like
No.
Friendship, I guess. But he said that he's been praying for years for a church like that to be put up in this area,
No, we haven't mentioned
because Doyle even said on this. I mean, Burnsville has really good churches, but this area really didn't have
Right.
the gospel.
Bible based.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, you're talking about George Hoagland.
Hoagland,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, well you knew him. Yeah.